Yeah, I don't think Tom's quite got Nick's running power, which is not to denigrate Tom's running power. Nick was just a freak. I think it suits us much better to have Tom a bit deeper. He does push up the ground at times, particularly in the last season or two, but I think his particular strengths are maximised deeper in the forward line, and we'll use some other sort of mid-sized players to push up the ground a bit. We do have some relatively rare talents on our list, guys like Mark Blitzarves who can play tall and small and give us the height we need, but not reduce our mobility. Not really, to be honest. Not because we don't think he can play there, but more because we don't think that we're struggling for tall defenders. In fact, the last couple of years we almost had too many in a way, when you consider that Lonergan and Taylor and Henderson were all on our best team, and Jake Kolodjasny certainly fits into that category as well. We think Blitzarves can play as a tall defender as well, so we think even with Tom Lonergan's retirement that we're pretty well served down in the back end. Reece's best position in our view is in the ruck, but again the trend of the game tends to mean that most sides aren't going too tall, so Reece needs to find a way to either be our #1 ruckman or play well enough as a forward to hold down that position in his own right. But we've got a lot of faith in Reece. He's a great athlete. He certainly had a good preparation, so he's given himself every chance. Hopefully Ben, Gary will complement particularly our midfield group, Mitch Duncan and Joel and Pat. We would like to play Pat forward. We suspect we'd like to play Gary forward as well, but we're going to go through a period of experimentation there. So there's a little bit of the unknown, but hopefully we've been working towards trying to get as many good players in our midfield as possible, so we can play some of those really high-level midfielders forward. We know that we have great confidence, at least if Pat played forward for a significant period of time, he could be one of the better forwards in the comp. It's just, if we do that, what does it do to our midfield? So I think from that lens, Gary will help. He's another guy who's a great athlete, and we'd like to maximise his running power up the ground if possible, but I think he's one of those types, probably similar to Dan Menzel in the respect that he's not your out-and-out key forward, but he's not a small forward either. So those mid-type guys that have great athletic potential, we think can complement Tom Hawkins, who's more than likely going to be the mainstay of our group. But I've probably said this a few times over the last couple of years, our coaching group has been working really hard to work through what our best combination looks like in the forward half, but mainly due to injury we just haven't been able to have a look at that. So the signs are good this pre-season that we're going to have a relatively healthy group, and guys like Lincoln McCarthy and Stu Cramery certainly have some injury questions against their name right at the moment, but again the signs are good that they're going to be able to push their way through that. Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing to consider there is we are in one of the most brutal competitive competitions in the world, so if we're thinking about finals now, we're kidding ourselves. We probably face a situation where 12 or 14 clubs are sitting here thinking they should play finals, and if we assume that's a God-given right for Geelong, we're going to find ourselves pretty rudely shocked, I think. So I think the specific question around some games where we just haven't started well enough is one that we've worked pretty hard on. I think it's important you get the right combination of players in there for the start. It's important you train the right way, talk about the right things, and prepare for the opposition as well as possible. So it's complicated and it's multifaceted, but if we leave the finals part of the question aside and just focus on starting well, that is something if we can do. We've got great confidence that we finish games well. So without giving away any specifics that we've been working on, it certainly is front of mind. Given his pre-season, we think he's a chance. Also, I think he's helped by the fact that he's played senior waffle footy for a few years, and certainly a very dominant player in that competition last year. So he does have a bit of an advantage over our other draftees, and then he's a bit older. We did bring him in with a view to a specific role in our forward half and a little bit of midfield as well. So, yeah, certainly our recruiters felt that he had the potential to come in and help us straight away. So, I think it's pretty safe to say that he's in that group of 25 to 30 players that are in the frame for a month or two's time. It's a good question. It's one that we've been spending a lot of time on as a coaching group, really since Blitz arrived on our list. There is a school of thought that his best position is in the ruck. We think he's certainly adding depth to our group of key defenders, and he could be quite a rare player in that, you know, not many key defenders would cover the ground as well as Mark does. And he played most of his footy for us last year really as a tall midfielder, so some combination of those roles you know, is most likely, but the challenge for us is trying to work out how we maximise his output as an individual while also filling the holes that we need within the team. So the questions there will revolve around who we choose to play in the ruck, what our key defender stocks are like, even the height in our forward line, because if we do go a bit smaller there, you know, we've got a level of confidence that with his mobility, you know, we could go a little bit taller in the forward line with him there without you know, compromising that mobility and forward pressure. It's a good question. Mentally, I'd like to back the guys that have been our best players over the last couple of years, Selwood and Dangerfield, those guys, because they love the big moment. But I think if I had to take, you know, one player, it'd be Mitch Duncan. He's a beautiful kick, and I think he's developing into the sort of player that craves a big moment as well. No, it's easy, we just don't have it.